I just had one of my neighbors. Couldn't have a child. I told him the story. I showed him the book. I promised him he would have a baby by Hanukkah this year. Baby was born Sukkot. We had a big kiddush. Yeah.
I have a question.
Louder.
The bidachon that we're talking about, it only is directed for when we need something personally, or if we want something for somebody else. Because when somebody else's free will is involved, it kind of changes perspective a little bit.
Yeah, excellent question. Excellent question. Chacham Ovadia Yosef, who I had the pleasure of knowing well, he writes that if you daven for somebody to do teshubah, that works also. Whether bitachon for somebody else works, if he himself doesn't have it, I don't know if it's the same thing. But they tell people tell me, I told them they're going to have a baby, you did it. I'm a regular guy. I said, you're bitachon that did it. It's your realize. You have to get that person to believe. Whether it works with somebody else, I can't imagine it would be the same power. Person herself. She has to believe. She has to do it. The first Prime Minister of Israel said once that one who doesn't believe in miracles in Israel, if you don't believe in miracles in Israel, you're not practical. How does Israel survive for 64, 65 years? How do they survive? How did they bomb out the nuclear reactor in Syria? How did they bomb out the nuclear reactor in Iraq? I pray every day we should get the right president of the United States. Person says, me? What I pray every day. We don't know who the best president is for America, who is the best president for Israel, and Israel has an election also in February. I pray every day we should get the right prime minister, the right president. Don't underestimate the prayers. You're the daughter of Hashem, you're the son of Hashem. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you're speaking a lot about getting children, and then when you get the children and they get sick, and it's terrifying, then what do you tap into?
Raising children is not easy. You tap into the same source. It's not just getting children. It says when you say the prayer of Hannah, when you light the candles, what that prayer of Hannah helps you with getting children, it helps you with raising the children. Hashem sent you that child. And he could have sent you a perfect child, but he sent you a child because he gave you the power and the well of water before he gave you the problem. He gave you the connections, maybe a doctor, maybe a friend, and you say, thank you Hashem for the problem. I know you gave me a well of water, just show me where that well is. Not easy raising children, not easy at all, but Hashem knows, and he cries with you. If you have a headache, it says he cries. He says, my head hurts me. If your arm hurts you, Hashem says, my arm hurts me. You're his baby. Here's your picture on his palm. So, no challenges? Wow, that's really bad. The Hatam Sofer says, God knew that he's supposed to give the land of Israel to the Jews, right? Who does he put in the land of Israel? He put giants there. Why don't you put some Chinese midgets there? Giants. Why do you put giants there? He says, I'm going to make it easy on them. They're not going to believe in me. They're going to believe in themselves. So he might have sent you a giant. And he sends all of us that. There's a Chinese saying, a head without a headache is already buried and found in the ground. A head without a headache is buried and found in the ground. Everybody has a headache. Everybody has a headache, but a head without a headache is an ahash. No problems, that's the biggest problem, right? Hashem put giants in Israel. There's another thing. I lived in Canada for a while when we first got married. Canada has 500,000 lakes. Israel has 1 lake. And my former countrymen, the Syrians, want to take half of it. They can have 1 lake. Israel is short of water all the time. Hashem loves Israel. Right? You want to take this? Yes. Hashem loves Israel. Give us some water. What about oil? Saudi Arabia, right? What they have, how much oil they have. Kuwait has oil. Even Egypt has oil. Israel has no oil. Why not? Because he loves us. Because He loves us, He gives us exactly the amount of challenges that we need. Because does anything else make sense? Tell me, anything else make sense? He created us, He made us. We're the chosen people. There's 7 billion people out there. How many people like you does He have? How many babies like you does He have? He worries about you, He cries about you, He thinks about you, He dreams about you. But if you keep that connection with God, it's a different life. It's a life where you're never alone. Where you know He's watching and He's worrying and He's thinking, and He can solve any problem. You have to believe, you have to count on Him, you have to keep crying, but not tears of despair, but tears of hope. Not you know it's gonna be. You know it's gonna be. Call me when everything is good. Not good, better than ever. It's exactly what I needed. Hagar wasn't thrown out, she would have been, right? Would have been impossible. Want me to say anything else?